Hey guys, Todd James here. I want to talk to you a little bit. This is kind of a continuation of some Shopify instruction that I've been giving, and I want to talk to you about what I'm doing in Shopify and on my Shopify stores that's working for me. And really, this video is going to be very short because I'm only going to talk about one thing, and that one thing is price point. Doing other people's Shopify stores, and I'm seeing people that have an entire store full of $10 items, and or an entire store full of $20 items, and I just don't get it, because first of all, a lot of times those items are very, very similar, and that kind of follows with what most people understand they're supposed to do if they're running a niche store. I looked at a store last night for someone, and she had jewelry items, and everything that I saw was basically somewhere between about $15 and about $25. Yeah, that's kind of a niche. That's a certain price point. But then all this jewelry, at least to my man eyes, looked kind of the same. So I really couldn't anticipate that somebody would come to her store and buy more than one item. That they would be kind of, all of her items sort of overlapped to the point where I just didn't see people making multiple purchases. And in fact, the feedback I got from her when I brought this up was that for the most part, people don't buy multiple purchases, or they might buy two items, but you just don't see much beyond that. And I can certainly understand why that would be the case, because these items all looked, to my eyes, to be very similar. There would not be a need to have a lot of her items. So that raises a couple of problems for her, in that her marketing is bringing the same people back to her store over and over, and the people just aren't buying anymore. When her store first opened, she was enjoying a certain degree of success, but her marketing is still hitting the same lookalike audience, and they're coming back and they're seeing the same lookalike store, and that's not a recipe for success in the long run. So, I want to talk to you about this in a little bit different manner. I sell big ticket items, or what most people would consider big ticket items, and I do that for a variety of reasons. If I'm selling, let's say, a phone case for $25, and my cost of goods, including my marketing and everything, my cost of goods on that item ends up being about $10, maybe $12, maybe even a little bit more. If I do something at some point in time and I elect to discount that item, or have to discount that item, I don't have a lot of wiggle room before I really start making a major cut in my profits. And moreover, I have to sell a lot of items in order to make significant money if I'm only looking at really making $5 or $6 per item. And I know a lot of you out there are doing Shopify stores where if you made $5 or $6 per item, you'd be thrilled. I know a lot of you are running stores where you're struggling to break even, or you're selling a lot of product but you're only making $1 per product, or $1 per item. So at the end of the month, when you see your sales, you've got lots of buyers, lots of sales, not a lot of profits. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to make money at this, and given the choice between making a lot of money and a little bit of money, I'd rather make a lot of money, and I'd rather do it for a long period of time. I'm not in this to see how hard I can work. I want to maximize my value per hour to myself. So even though as we've discussed in other videos, it's not like I'm putting in 80 hours a week, but if I'm going to sit down and go through my process to select a product to sell, which it's not like I sit down and say, okay, when I stand up again, I'm going to have a product. For me, I usually start just thinking about things I might want to sell. I start thinking about cracks in the marketplace that I can come in and fill. So I may just have this in the back of my mind for several weeks, if not longer. But then some days things will just kind of come together, and I'll sit down and I'll really do some exploration into this potential crack in the marketplace that I think I've found. I want to make sure that crack is there, and then I want to see what type of products I can come up with to fill that crack. So, at some point I do have effort involved, I do have skin in the game, and I have hours of my time involved. And then certainly leading up to a product launch, I have a significant amount of ad spend typically. And again, I have some other expenses that come with launching a product or launching an entirely new store. So I want to make sure it's worth my time. I want to make sure that I see a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, so to speak, that makes the journey worthwhile. So I have always gravitated towards higher priced items, big ticket items, and as I mentioned in one of the earlier videos, I have a store right now. The most expensive item, well, the store only has a few items, but the most expensive item is $28,000. And that item has about a 50% profit margin on it. So, I don't have to sell a lot of those over the course of a year to feel like that store was profitable for the year. I'm pretty happy with that. I don't use Shopify typically to sell anything that's going to be under several $100s. The cost of an item or the selling price of an item is not a significant factor for me when I'm looking at things to sell on Shopify. I'm looking for a market, and then I'm looking for a need in that market, and I then go and look at the items or potential products I can sell to fulfill that need. And if those products are $100, that's fine. If they're $10,000, that's fine. I don't care. When I'm looking to sell a $10,000 product, I'm looking for a buyer who has a $10,000 problem. So, selling them something for $100 is not going to fix their problem. Selling them something for more than $10,000 may or may not fix their problem, but I know certainly if I can give them a solution to their problem for X amount of dollars, they will buy it. With higher ticket items, you're dealing with a more affluent clientele. You are not dealing with people that are, trying to figure out how they can buy this while at the same time put food on their table next week. When you're selling these $15 and $20 and $25 items, that is frequently the case. I mean, people are using whatever money's left over from their paycheck to buy themselves something, to treat themselves to something that they've wanted, but it's their last nickel in many cases. When someone's buying a $10,000 training bike, that's probably not their last nickel. In fact, they probably have 2 or 3 training bikes. When they're buying a $12,000 watch, odds are that's not their only watch. They probably have 20 or 30 watches. This is a mindset. I see people ask questions all the time about the mindset, and I guess this is as good an answer as I've ever given. I've done a couple of videos talking about the mindset, of successful people, of millionaires and what have you, but basically, different people have different problems. And the problems you have if you make $30,000 a year and the products you buy are different than the problems you have and the products you buy if you make $100,000 a year. And the same holds true if you make $500,000 a year, or if you make $1 million a year. And I'm talking now, into these income numbers, I'm talking about your potential customer. So I'm just saying, you can sell someone who's making $500,000 a year a $50,000 watch. You can do it. You can sell someone who's making $500,000 a year, a 120-inch flat screen TV that is absolute cutting edge and costs $15,000. They will snap it up. It's what they do with their money. And they'll do so without giving it a great deal of thought. The other good part of this is that if you want to sell them something that they may have seen marketed elsewhere for, let's just pick the hypothetical television I just spoke about, 120-inch LCD flat screen TV. You see it marketed on the internet for $15,000. Well, I can come in, I can sell them that television, which will satisfy their problem. And their problem in this particular case is that they want that television, and they have the money to buy it. They want it. By golly, they're going to get it. But I can do them an additional favor, and this goes to both making the sale a little bit easier, but also it goes to building a relationship with that customer, so they'll come back and buy other high-ticket items from you in the future. So I can sell them that item for, say, $12,000 instead of the $15,000 they were expecting to buy. So now I've helped them solve their problem. I've helped them do so while keeping an extra few $1,000s in their pocket. And odds are, on a product of that size and of that price, I've still maintained a very, very good profit margin. Margins are important, but I'd rather sell a $12,000 television and make 30% than sell 2,000 phone protectors for $20 where I make 40%. It's much easier to make that one sell. You only have to find that one customer, whereas you've got to find thousands of customers at that lower price point. So for those of you who are out there struggling to make money, look at your analytics. If you're getting visitors to your website, to your Shopify store, or to your eBay or Amazon listing, but the people just aren't buying, or they are buying, but at the end of the month you look at it and say, wow, this was not worth the time and energy I had invested, I would suggest that you look at selling higher priced items. I don't know of anyone who's running 7-figure Shopify stores by selling $10 and $15 items. I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure that people will leave comments and say, well, hey, I sold $1 million last year and my highest item was $12. And that's fine. I mean, there are people out there who can do that, but I assure you it's not easy for them. They've got to have a massive customer pipeline and massive customer flow through their store. And more than likely, they're selling items that are trending and are more of a fad in nature, and they're just remarkably good at finding those trending items. I'm looking more for items that are, again, a problem solver for someone's life, something that they're willing to pay for, and all I do is bring them to the trough and let them drink. And in this case, the trough is my Shopify store. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I hope this video has been useful and helpful to you. I want you all to think about selling higher priced items. Don't be afraid to sell higher priced items. Understand you're going to sell to a more affluent clientele, and they have the money to buy. So it should be a good thing for you. Again, it's always the basics. It's always the execution. Make sure your store looks good. Make sure your product listing looks good. Have good pictures. Have a good description, and have an effective sales funnel. Lead them to the product, but have them pre-sold on that product before they ever get there. You serve up an expensive product in that fashion, and the people will buy it, and you're going to be happy, they're going to be happy, and the whole world will be happy. Well, anyway, if you have questions or comments, please put it down below. If you have not done so already, hit the like and subscribe button. Would really appreciate your feedback, and tell me if you've sold higher priced items, what's worked for you. How successful were you? How long did it take you to be successful in selling big ticket items? I'd like to hear. I'm sure other viewers would like to hear as well. So reach out, let us know how you're being successful, and we'll see you in the next video.